Hi, and welcome to Screens and Focus, the podcast where we talk about our favorite TV shows and movies. I'm Diana, and today we have TV and movie recommendations for you. Renee is here to join me. Renee, how's it going?
Going well here. How about you?
I'm doing great. I can't wait to hear what you've been watching. We just got through finishing Bridgerton season 3, part 2 that we both love. So please go check out that podcast episode. We have so much to talk about. We have so much stuff in there. But, I wanted to start off with our question of the day. And that being because we lost a really big actor recently, Donald Sutherland. He has been in TV and movies for so long, so impactful. It's astonishing. I just read that he had never won an Oscar, which shocks me. Yeah, because he's so iconic. His look, his voice, you could just hear his voice and you know who it is. So I wanted to sort of pay tribute to him in just talking about any TV or movie that you remember because of him or that you love because of him. And so that is our question of the day. What TV or movie of Donald Sutherland made an impact on you?
I have two because I couldn't pick from these two. So I loved him as President Snow in the Hunger Games trilogy. I guess it was not a trilogy. It was 4 movies, but he did such a great job as that cold, calculating, just evil. And I absolutely loved his portrayal. After I read the books, you kind of start thinking, who could play these parts, as they start announcing. Yeah. And then when they announced him, I was like, okay, that's going to be amazing. And he did. It was just outstanding. And my other one is when Mr. Bennet in Pride and Prejudice with Keira Knightley.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. He was just, when they announced that he had passed, I posted a GIF when he was talking to her about Mr. Darcy. And he's like, you really do love him. And they're both so emotional. And just that scene, I just like, oh my gosh, he just did such a wonderful job. And we talked about this on the other podcast that, the Jane Austen and everything, so many different renditions of it and things. And just his portrayal of Mr. Bennet it's my favorite. And so that was my second favorite. But I looking through his list of movies and things, it's like, that's right, he was in that. That's right. He had like 200 credits to his name.
I saw a clip, I think I even put it in my story at one point, of Kiefer Sutherland and him talking. They're both in an interview and he says, I'm going to embarrass my dad here. And then he starts talking about him and what an icon he is to even him and what it means. Oh, and I just love that. I love that Kiefer was able to say what he felt about his father and his work in front of him, because every parent, man, to have your child say some kind of words like that is just so impactful, so special. And so I love that. And I know that they have acted together a few times. For me, mine are the same as yours. And I had a feeling they would be. So I had to try and look for something else because those are the two, right? Hunger Games and Pride and Prejudice. But I do want to mention that I really love A Time to Kill. And so he's in there, and Kiefer Sutherland is in that too. I also, probably the first time that I saw him, and I didn't even realize it, I was so young, but it was MASH, and it was the movie. And of course, he's so young, he doesn't even look like he does as he's older, but that was probably one of the first movies I ever saw with him in it. And I know he's in the Body Snatchers, and there's just all the war films that he is in, and just everything. He just has this presence about him. And, he just will be sorely missed. And we're just so, blessed, I guess, is to have had him this long and to have been able to see all his body of work and everything he has done. He is special because, like I said, there are a lot of people that are actors, but he has that look and that voice that you know him. You know
Yeah.
him. So, all right, friends out there, please share with us your favorite Donald Sutherland TV or movie because we would love to know. You can leave it in the comments here if you're watching on YouTube or anywhere else. You can share it on social media. You can get to all of it at screensinfocus.com. All of our social media links are there, and you can get to our website in our show notes or at screensinfocus.com because we want to know what your favorite TV or movie is with Donald Sutherland. But we're going to get to our TV and movie recommendations. So I would love to know, Renee, what are you watching?
So watching, talking about Bridgerton and watching Bridgerton, just reminds me of this series Derry Girls, which Nicola, how's her last name pronounced?
It's either Copeland or Coughlin. I think it's Copeland, I think.
And I think that's how I've heard her say it in interviews and things. So she is in this, and it's the first thing I ever saw her in. And it's a 3-season series. It's set in Northern Ireland in the 90s and just all that's going on over there politically and things. But it's basically focused on these teens that attend an all-girls school and just all the antics they get into. It is just hilarious. But if you're going to watch it, if you haven't already, or if you started it and didn't really get into it, turn on the subtitles. Their accents are so thick that what did they say? What did that? But I put the subtitles on, and you're like, okay, I can do this now. Now I know. And and then of course it's funny because you understand what they're talking about. But it's such a good series, and it just follows this group of kids and all these things that they do, and at school and home, and all these things, and it's just hilarious. So if you like funny series, I recommend checking it out. This is probably my third or fourth time watching it through.
Wow, that's a lot to watch over and over again because there's so much out there. I can barely get to a second watching of something that I actually really love. The only thing that I get to watch over and over again is The Walking Dead. So and I'm glad. But to really say I've watched something over and over again, it's that. I just don't get to it. There's too much out there that I'm trying to stay on top of. I have to mention this. This isn't even on my list, but I finished Shameless. I finished it. Season 11. I love Shameless so much. The greatest thing about that is one of those ones you could just watch one episode, especially after you've seen the whole season. You can go back and just watch an episode because you know the characters. Such a dysfunctional group, but you can't help but care about them. And it's just a great show. So please go check out Shameless. I just highly, highly recommend it. But the thing I wanted to bring up was House of the Dragon. Season 2 has come out. I just seen the second episode. Oh man, it's so good. I'm not going to give anything away, but it is good. It is good. There's always this major twist that happens at the end of the episode that really catapults it to something else. And you're just like, oh my God, when is the next episode going to happen? Because you just can't believe it. If you're a fan of Game of Thrones, then you are probably watching it. And if you're not watching it, go watch it now because it's very good. And I'm not giving anything away except to say, are you team green or are you team black? That's all I got to say. Which one are you? Oh man, it's hard. It's hard. And I probably could know who wins this if I read the books at all, like where it ends up. And I have a feeling I know where it ends up, but man, well, I'm just going to say here, at this point, I'm team Rhaenyra. Okay. Team black right now, but I get it. I get the other side. And I have a feeling the other side is what happens in the books. I don't know. We'll find out. I don't know the book, so I don't know. All right. So you're not watching it at all? You don't watch it?
I haven't even watched Game of Thrones.
Okay. So your homework is instead of watching Derry Girls again, you go watch Game of Thrones. Okay. You just go sit down and watch it.
I watched episode 1 and I'm like, there's so many characters, and I was a little overwhelmed, just like, like, so I did watch the first episode. I enjoyed it, and I think I need to go back to make sure I have people who I think they are and how they're connected, kind of thing, because it just felt like a lot.
It is a lot. And I'm going to tell you, I did watch the first episode and I went away and I didn't
Mhm.
watch it for a little bit. I'll be honest with you, I did that.
Mhm.
And then I'm like, I'm going to go back and watch this again. And I did. And the reason I stepped away, and I've done this a couple
Mhm.
times with a couple of TV shows and movies, it does get overwhelming, but it was for me, I didn't like the way the women are treated. And
Mhm.
when women are treated so secondary,
Mhm.
sometimes I'm like, I don't know if I could take it.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could take it, but it is so good. The writing's so good. It is one of my top
Mhm.
series ever. It's up there with the
Mhm.
5 top series ever. So that's how good it is. And I've watched a lot of TV shows and movies. So I think you should watch it. You should
All right,
tune in.
I will get on it and start watching it.
It's very, very good. And there's all these diagrams of who people are.
Mhm. Yeah.
So you could watch it, the first one, and then go back and look at the list, or look at the
Mhm.
list first and then go watch it. And you'll at least start to familiarize yourself
Yeah.
with who people
Mhm.
are, and then you'll get it. But yes, I totally get that, because I have to do that with a lot of things, especially when it's period type
Yeah.
pieces like that. I have to know, wait, who's who and how are they related and how does this go together? Yes, I totally get it. Okay. What else are you watching?
We recently started watching Your Honor, as it came on Netflix. It released on Netflix, and so Bryan Cranston is a judge. And have you watched it?
I only watched 1.5
Okay.
episodes. So, and that was a while back. I haven't gone
Yeah.
back to it yet. Yeah.
So we're not. We're just maybe the middle of season one. We haven't gotten terribly far, but it's very interesting. It's very exciting. And you're like, you want to know what is going to happen, because all these pieces start coming together and you're just, it's very, I mean, almost, I don't know, almost anything with Bryan Cranston is good. So, it's got that going for it, but yeah, it's really, really good.
I read his book. Have you read his book?
I have not.
I've read his book. It's really good.
Hmm.
Like, it is one of my favorite memoirs, because that's usually what I tend to read as
Hmm.
memoirs
Yeah.
of actors. And it just really stuck with me.
Hmm.
I love hearing about actors. I think I like it because, one, I like hearing their story. And two, I like to know what drew them to acting, what
Hmm.
steps they took, where they get their break, how they feel about it. I really enjoyed his book. And so it made me just appreciate his acting all the more. So I read it after I had seen Breaking Bad. So yeah. So another thing besides TV and movies, we give you book
Yeah.
recommendations here. So I had seen, I think, an episode and a half when it was on whatever, a
Mhm.
different Showtime or
Yeah.
something like that. But then
Yeah.
I don't have that subscription anymore. This is one of those TV shows or movies I probably should have kept trying to go, but I think because I get, how some suspense, like, you can't take it.
Yeah.
Well, that's how I think I felt. I'm like, I don't know if I could get through this, because the same thing happened with this next recommendation I have,
Mhm.
and that is Presumed Innocent with Jake Gyllenhaal. When I saw the first episode, I'm like, I don't know if I want to watch this. He's I'm really bad. I think he's a defense attorney, or is he a prosecutor? I think he's a prosecutor. And his colleague is murdered, a female. And then you quickly find out that he had an affair with this woman. And then you realize they looking at him, and it's like, oh, really? I don't know if I could take this, but I got sucked in. And now I'm like, okay, when's the next episode happening? Because I have to watch it. It's pretty good. So I'm sure it's like Your Honor too, right? You get
Mhm.
sucked into
Yeah.
this. Who did it? Did they, who's going to get in trouble? Who's not going to get, what's happening? Who's the real person? Who did this and that? So anyways, I am liking this. This is on
Mhm.
Apple TV. So, and it's based on the original film by
Mhm.
Harrison Ford. So sort of a remake that's in the series.
I'm impressed with Apple TV and all their series.
Yeah.
We
So
have a
you'd
lot of
probably,
those.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
probably
you'd
would,
probably
yeah,
like this.
to add it to our list.
All right. I'm also watching The Boys season 4. It's on Prime. I don't know why I keep watching, to be honest. I really don't. It is very violent, but it's not really the violence. It's the perversion, I guess. They do some outrageous scenes in this, outrageous things, and it's superheroes being bad and a group of vigilantes trying to help correct things. And it's very, has political commentary. And there's so many things. I'm like, why am I watching this? Why? So I can't say I highly recommend it, but I know it's very popular. And I'm already into 4 seasons. So now I kind of want to see what happens to the characters. Have you seen any of The Boys?
Just clips and things, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I would steer toward Shameless, Game of Thrones, Presumed Innocent, House of Dragons, any of those. That's what I would say. All right. Do you have any movie recommendations?
So we watched it's a movie from 2017 called Time Trap. And I'd never heard of it, and I don't know how my husband watches a lot of different movies. Like other people would not even sit through like he'll watch a bad movie. And so
Yeah.
he found this one, and it's a kind of a sci-fi for sure, but then kind of adventure kind of thing. I hate saying too much, I don't want to say too much, but it was very good. It was kind of a, time trap. The title kind of gives you an indication there's some
Yeah.
time warped things that happen. But yeah, it was very good. I was really surprised at how well I liked it, because sometimes the movies that he turns on, I'm like, okay, I can't watch this one. But
So what did you say this was on, or did you say, I'm sorry?
Netflix.
Okay. Great.
So it's, on Netflix. And so like the synopsis says, I feel like I can read that without giving too much, because I feel like sometimes I say too much because I get so excited. So basically, to find their missing professor, a group of students ventures into a cave where he disappeared and uncover a bizarre mystery that alters their reality.
Ooh,
So it's a really
okay. So
good
if you
type of, yeah.
like time travel, check it out. It's on
Yeah.
Netflix.
And it's a very interesting like, I don't think I've ever seen a movie use this type of whatever
Mm.
what alters their reality. So
Oh,
I was very good.
intriguing.
So,
I like it.
yeah.
I have been anticipating The Bike Riders so much. I really wanted to see it. I think it sparked because Norman Reedus was on
Mhm,
it. And I thought, oh, I think he might have put out a poster or something like
mhm,
that. And so I had been following it. It's been a while. Then I saw Austin Butler was in
mhm,
it, and Tom Hardy was in it, and Jodie Comer was in it. Although
mhm,
I haven't seen anything with Jodie Comer. I think you have, because you're
mhm.
watching Killing Eve, but
Yes.
I don't really know her otherwise.
Mhm.
Anyway, it's about bike riders, motorcycle riders. So I knew I wanted to watch. I knew it was set back in time, but I didn't know exactly what. Oh my gosh, so good. I have seen so many good movies this year. I go to my blog, I put a list of them out for the first half of the year. I'm going to do it again. But I keep going to the movies and I keep seeing great movies. I'm so happy. I'm so happy. I don't know if they're just hitting me. I don't know if that there's this influx because we had the writer's strike and we were in COVID and everybody had to, not put out everything, and now everything's coming out. But The Bike Riders was really good. It's about this 60s motorcycle club called the Vandals. And it's based on a photo book by, is it
Danny
Danny
Lyons.
Lyons? Yeah,
Mhm.
1967. And it was inspired by
Yeah.
that. And so I felt like this movie, it's also told like the Goodfellas. Now, mind you, it's not like the Goodfellas. So it's
Yeah.
not like super duper violent or anything like
Mhm.
that. Has some crime, but it's not super violent. So you don't have to worry about that part of it. But it's that narration of like the character of Kathy, played by Jodie Comer, is narrating. She's interviewing with a reporter
Mhm.
and he's asking her questions about the bike club. So she's narrating like who the characters are, who the people are, and how she met them. So it's really I like that. And I think
Mhm.
you like narration too. So it kind
Mhm.
of guides you through what's happening. But this movie really captures that era. And I love when that happens. I love the feel of that. The bikes look like that. It isn't like, Harleys that you
Yeah.
would see now. And it really is the beginning. And it's really the dynamic of these three characters.
Mhm.
And I really, really liked it. And I have to say, Austin Butler, man, he already, he is going to continue to be
Mhm.
an iconic actor. He's so young,
Mhm.
but he has done some phenomenal work. And just the look he has on screen, he can say it all. And
Mhm.
he's such a good looking
Mhm.
guy that just can have this broodiness about him. I mean, God, he played Elvis,
Yeah.
and then he plays the villain in Dune 2. So he can just do so much. So, and Tom Hardy too. Tom Hardy can say so much with his face too. And Jodie Comer, it was like refreshing. Like the things that came out of her mouth would be what you would want to say, and she just says them. She just is unapologetically the character, and I love that. So I just thought it was a really good take on this.
Mhm.
Norman Reedus is in it. Oh my gosh, I'm going to tell you this, and this isn't really giving anything away. He has bad teeth in this, bad, and he's from California. Okay. Just don't think people in California have bad teeth. Okay. Don't get that perception of us. But his character isn't in it for very long, but he's funny. It was cool. It was just a cool role for him. And so I loved seeing him in this. And I just thought it was a great movie. And I think everybody should go take a watch. I know your husband saw it.
Mhm.
What did he say?
He really liked it a lot. Yeah, he did. He really enjoyed it. And yeah, he commented on Norman Reedus' character and said that he really enjoyed his part in that, because mostly people see him as Daryl. So, that's kind of the
Yeah.
way you think that he's going to be in every
Yeah.
movie. Yeah. And interesting, his character, Norman Reedus' character, Funny Sonny, I wrote an article about he played because there's not a lot of information. He's a real person that was in the club, but I also read that the teeth and everything, that was all Norman Reedus' idea because he wanted his character to look nothing like Daryl, because he kind of gets typecast in those roles, with his hair and that kind of stuff. So he wanted to
Yeah.
make sure. And they filmed in Ohio. And so to get used to those teeth, he wore them to Target and to a couple of places so that he could learn to talk with them. So can you imagine? Because I've seen the
Oh
picture
my
and they're
God.
horrible.
They are. They're horrible. And I'm like, why does he have the teeth? But you know what's funny? You know how things in your mouth ever change the look? Well, I know Daryl's face
Yes.
so well because of The Walking Dead and Daryl, right? We've seen him for so
Yeah.
many years. I'm like, that doesn't look like Norman Reedus. There's something going on here. I don't know what it is. And then, of course, he smiles and has these bad teeth. And he does play a different role. Yes, he's driving a motorcycle, but his
Mhm.
character is a different type of character. It's
Mhm.
funny. So it was, what I really enjoyed, and you'll see this once you watch the movies, and at the very end, they'll show pictures from that photo
Mhm.
book. So many of the characters really looked like those photos. Like they
Mhm.
did a really good job of picking the right cast and putting these right elements on the characters. Just little things of maybe an earring or the way they wore their hair or
Mhm.
the jacket they would wear, whatever it was. I think that's why I love this movie a lot, because I felt like they really paid attention to these details,
Mhm.
and it feels so much like that era. And I love any movie, no matter what time period you're doing. If you can show these little details, it
Mhm.
just means so much and adds so much to the story. So please go check out Bikeriders. It's very good. I also want to mention I watched Bad Boys like 2 weeks ago. I told you I'm going to the movies. It was my husband and my son went with me. I loved it. They thoroughly enjoyed it. They were
Mhm.
like, that was so good. There was so much action. It was so funny. Will Smith and Martin Lawrence, they are great together. I think it's their fourth. Oh gosh, I might even cry. I think it's their fourth movie
Yeah, I think so.
around there. they're good together.
Yeah.
It's just great, great chemistry. Great chemistry. They're really good. I don't want to give too much away. So check that out. You know, I've been doing a few TikToks on the movies that I watch. So you can go to screensandfocus.com, get to TikToks and get a 60-second version to a lot of the movies that I'm talking about here that give you just a tiny bit more insight. But I wanted to mention that. And also, just this last weekend, I watched Trigger Warning on Netflix with Jessica Alba. It got really bad reviews that I almost wasn't going to watch it. But you know what? It makes me kind of mad now that sometimes the reviews come out so bad. I read somebody said something about like boring and this and that. I'm thinking, this isn't boring at all. Now, mind you, there were things that didn't make it great. Like there were some opening shots that I thought weren't, I don't know if it's directed or produced very well or didn't look quite as believable as they should. But I didn't see boring. It kept you on. Yeah, there was no like slow scenes. It wasn't like there were points where nothing was happening. There's always something happening. She, you know, her father unexpectedly dies and she has to go back to her hometown and try to uncover it. And she's I don't know that she's some military person. So she has combat experience. So that comes into play in this movie. But to see Jessica Alba back in action, I liked it. It's not, you know, probably something I'll watch again, but for you know, you just want to watch a movie that has some action. You don't have to think too hard. It's good. And it's great seeing her. Hasn't done it in a while. So I liked it. Yeah. All right. Did you have anything else or are you good?
Nope. That was it.
Good. Okay, Renee, I want to thank you for your recommendations and for joining me today.
Well, thanks for having me. It's always fun.
Anytime. Renee and I will be back when Daryl Dixon comes out, season 2. That is September 29th, right?
Yes.
They told us summer, and then now they're telling us September 29th.
Yeah, like that. September is not summer.
Yeah, exactly.
You do get 8 episodes instead of 6 this time, so that's good.
Yeah. Oh, can't wait. So we'll be back for that. Hopefully we'll be back with 1 or 2 before then. So be on the lookout. If not, make sure you follow Screens and Focus. Because again, I have TikTok, I have my blog, which gives TV and movie recommendations. And so you can find all of that at screensandfocus.com. But I want to thank you for joining us today. Hope that we said something that resonated with you, gave you a chuckle, some happiness, some positivity or inspiration. Don't forget to subscribe to our website at screensandfocus.com. And why not share this with a friend? Because we would love more members of our TV club. You can find our website in our show notes. And remember to keep watching, keep exploring, and keep those screens in focus. And we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.